So good morning. This is Simon with toughtrader.com doing the market preview for the 29th of January. Quick disclaimer. We'll get through that really quickly. That is not what I wanted. This is what I wanted. Past performance is not indicative of future results. I'm sharing my trade plan with you in hopes it'll make you a better trader. Do not follow me blindly. Right. The most important thing I have to say is you can lose a ton of money trading futures. Make sure you have a risk plan and you have an ability to follow your risk plan and stop trading if you're losing money. It's the most simply best, the best concept or best idea that I can give you. You should be making money relatively consistently. You don't necessarily have to have an 80 or 90% win rate, but your equity curve should be on the upswing in a general term. If it's not, stop, go back to paper trading. Right? Because something is simply wrong with your trade plan. It needs to be fixed. I'm bringing up my second set of domes here real quick. And so if you'd like to read that disclaimer a bit more, be my guest. I need to flip these as well. Hold on a second here. Give me just 1 second. My DUMs are not coming up for some reason. On TradeStation, S5 is working. TradeOvate's okay. And it would appear like I am in business, I want to say. There we go. We are now in business. Okay, we're now in business. So why is it offline? Okay, it should be coming up any second. We will give these. Okay, let me save this to make sure I don't lose it really quick. And if my DUMs don't come up, I will have to reboot right at the open is what I'll have to do. I don't know why this is not coming up or updating. Okay, my other DUMs are, so that's fine. I will worry about the rest. Let's see. I'll worry about the rest in a moment. I do not know why TradeStation is sticky. That's all right. Hopefully in a minute they will come up. See if I kill this. Kill this. Technical issues are really disappointing early in the day. Okay, we'll go on with the trade plan, and we will make the adjustments as necessary. I may have to reboot right at the open, guys. So Globex high, low is in. So an important couple of concepts to start the day that I want to make sure. I did a trade review last night. The most important thing is that we get above the last buyer, the last seller. Why? It's not because it'll avoid you a stop. If things are going bad, you will still get stopped, right? But what it does is it gives us very accurate area to be able to measure what the risk looks like, and we're not catching a falling knife or shorting a freight train running up, right? Either way. So we are clearly gapping down. We're minus 24 in NQ and minus 10. So remember, first of all, there's going to be people that are going to look to want to be responsive buyers, right? Why? Because every single dip has gotten bought. So let's go through the lay of the land of what the important areas are on the chart. And actually what we'll do, we'll just go through notes and do it that way. Let's go over here to, let me squeeze this off, close that, get rid of that. And let's go to, I don't need this one as well. And I don't need, wow, I have way too many windows open. Let's see here. Get rid of this. Where is my one chart that I actually need? There it is. Okay, there we are. Okay. Thank you. Let's start off with that. Okay. Number one thing I want everyone to be aware of coming in, we're going to start from the weekly and work our way down. Okay. So the notes you should have written on somewhere on your desk, right? If we do not trade, we'll start with ES. Sorry, I pulled up ES first. 28.64, right? We do not trade below 28.64, which you'll notice we're trading right down to, right? That is last week's value area. 28.53. 28.64 is where we're trading. Sorry, I'm having an ADD moment. Let me get it together here. Here we go. 28.53.50. Expect responsive buyers in that neighborhood. To start with, that's last week's value area high. If you look from the week before, we traded just above last week's value area high and found responsive buyers. See that? Here we go. Wow, I'm just having a very difficult time operating my desktop this morning. You found responsive buyers, never traded below last week's value area high. You got to know somebody's looked at that and gone, hey, I'm going to try buy value area high and see if we get another week up, right? It's obviously a pretty easy trade. You don't trade below 28.53.50, right? And then you end up with another week like this week. This ended up being for whoever tagged that 28.10 area, let's say, right? They were able to tag on 65 ES points by the end of the week, right? So someone's going to look at that. Someone's going to attempt to defend, right? The next most important area from a weekly perspective is really this point of control area, which is 28.42 to 28.37. Expect two things in that area. Expect rotation in that area, right? So expect it to go like this. So this I'd kind of expect to move like that to some degree, right? Maybe a little below, maybe above, but I expect someone to step in on this 28.53. Here, I expect any variation of this, right? But we probably trade around this area, and you most likely have time to set up the bigger trade out of this location back up. Now, remember, we're trading at 28.64, right? So you take out 20 from where we're trading, that puts us at 28.44, right? Which puts this as prime time location to try to find responsive buyers. I'm looking for longs in general out of a very wide area from a weekly perspective right in here. There's a pronounced low volume node right here underneath. So let me get rid of this. Pronounced low volume node sitting right, I can't control it from that computer, sitting right here, right? 28.75, long way from where we are, but if it really melts. So somewhere between here and this low volume node, 28.75 and 28.23.50. Okay, so here's what I'm expecting. Dun, dun, right? We don't trade back in from the weekly perspective, push back up. We trade back in. I would expect, hopefully, something like this, right? That would be my expectation of some variation on that pattern. If we trade underneath, right, there's a little low volume node right there, backside test, failure to get back above. Again, this is big time frame stuff, right? Then finally push in here. Auction's really complete once it's traded down here. And then I would expect from 28.23 that we work our way back up towards 28.42 and areas higher. And then importantly, that value area low for the weekly is sitting right there at 28.31. So expand that area from 28.31 to 28.23. That's a really key area down there, right? And now once we're underneath the point of control, guys who want to be short, you can start working on retesting last week's low at 28.10 if we're unable to recoup 28.40. Pretty straightforward, pretty easy, right? Sorry for the Crayola kindergarten drawing there. That's what you get when you hang out with one-year-olds all day long over the weekend, okay? So now we're going to take those levels, right? And we're going to overlay them. Ooh, I shouldn't have done that here. Let's do this. Okay, we're going to overlay them. Let's do it like this, this, this to this, and this, and this. And then let's flip that to a daily. Okay, so from the daily perspective, 28.54, right? We're trading at 28.63. This is a 10-point rotation in, and you'll notice that that is landing from a daily perspective, right? We are still within Friday's value area, right? So the first thing that has to happen to test that from a daily perspective now is we have to get below 28.62. You'll notice we're hovering right above that, right? We're going to make that white for the daily part, okay? Next, there's a low volume node right in here, right in front of the TPO point of control. You'll notice the points of control are separated, right? That reduces the amount of support they get in these areas. It's better when they're usually aligned right next to each other and you get sharper responses when they are versus the volume point of control being all the way up top and the TPO point of control being at bottom. Doesn't mean that it can't work. It just works better when they are together. So I would not expect an immediate response. And we already know we're looking for our last best buyer and our last best seller in that area, right? So the first test to get into test is we have to get below 28.62.25. I want to be clear here. If we don't get below 62.25, outside of a scalp here and there is no short. We are going to push out if we do not get below 62.25, just the law of the land. In order to be bearish, we are going to have to get below and hold below 46. We're trading at 65. 46 is a 20-point rotation down, right? Color, white, right? And so from underneath 28.64, I would expect that area generally gets defended from 46. And then I would look for resistance back up into not 54. Remember, this will be covered. The point where I would expect a retest would either be back into 55, right, which is the volume point of control, or all the way back in. Either way, we have to beat 28.46 to be, quote, bearish and go into a corrective move, or even just to start the process of going from straight up to balance, right? We would stop one time into the upside, which began on the 24th, right? 1, 2, 3. And all we had to do to accomplish that is trade below 46.25. The most likely area to get a response, remember, this is value area high from the weekly. This is the point of control from the weekly. And I would expect a response out of this area, but I would expect it to be a choppy response, right? As opposed to a V-shape choppy. I'd expect a V-shape response out of these areas down here, meaning a push in and a push back out. So is everyone clear? You have to get below 28.62. And in order to be bearish, right, you need to I would need to consolidate underneath that 28.55. So if I'm get underneath 28.55, unable to recover, I would then expect a leg down to 46.25, followed by a leg down to 41.50 to 38. That is almost a 30-point rotation at that point. I do not expect to really make it past this area unless we're going to have some kind of epic meltdown. Okay. Other than that, I expect this area to provide swing trades, and I'm looking for one timing on the 30-minute time frame to end in this area for a push back up. Anyone have any questions over ES and how I'm planning to handle it? I'm still keen off of 10-point rotations. We're getting 10-point rotations. Guys in the room, I'll be calling out the scalps as they set up. No cues, no cues. Everyone's clear. I'm probably burning the first half hour to make sure I don't get caught in an open drive lower, and I'm going to have to reboot my trade station right on the open, guys. Apologies. Okay, so next, let's go over to NQ really quick. They are both chart settings. NQ. Okay, here we go. They get bloodied up. My charts get bloodied up from the coaching sessions. I keep creating new charts. Okay, let's do the same thing for the weekly. I won't be covering weekly every day, but it is an important area to know. So number one, we are trading at 7,009. Value area high is right there at 68.8650 for the week. We don't get below 86.50 for the week. Treat it the same as if we don't get below value area high for the day. Expect to push out if that occurs, right? Next, from the weekly perspective, your value area low from last week is 69.0975. Notice the last time we traded below value area low was the week of the 24th. If you take the week of the 24th, which was that Christmas week, right? The last time we traded below value area low before that was back on December 3rd. It's been a long run, right? You will also notice that even when we traded below value area low, we pushed down. We traded right below that week's low, popped back in, trapped, and traded all the way back up, right? And then closed above that week's value area, and that started a new push to the upside until the 24th. I'd be very careful shorting in the hole. This is a great example of how we can get underneath the value area. So I want to show you how this played out, right? Here's the value area, low, just as if we were laying it out for this week, right? So that following week, you traded below. You backside tested. Bingo. There's your short, right? There's your roll down. We trade just below prior week's low. Trap late shorts. What's the rotation? 6,400 all the way down to 6,250. Pretty much 150-point rotation. We trap. We roll all the way back up. What do we roll all the way back up to? Right back to the mid. I'm going to show you so you can get used to this because this is what it'll probably look like on ES and NQ. There's the rollback to the mid. Here's the stopping. Here's the first stop with the one time into the downside. Here's the second stop of the one time to the downside, right? You will notice your 50-60 back for guys in the room. We never broke the low. They retested a double bottom on the weekly, right? So pretend this is a daily. It's the same pattern. And off we launch for a return back to the upside. The stopping of the one timing, obviously on a smaller time frame than a weekly chart, but it's the concept is exactly the same. There's no question about that, right? Notice we trap, we try a second trap above, they close back in, close underneath, backside test, back to the low, close back in. Now we finally make a significant impulse move. We don't quite get back to the downside test, although I imagine this tested in Globex, and then launch off to the upside, right? So for this week, using the exact same lesson the market's already taught us, right? So you'll notice when we came to value area low the first time, see there's two bars right there? That means that you got responsive buyers in that area the first time, unable to hold, close below, impulse move, backside test, short. So for this week on NQ, if we get below 69.09, look for the backside test to fail for a push where? To the low into the prior week's volume point of control and TPO point of control that haven't been tested, and then look for a trap because we most likely balance in this area. That second level distribution in that low volume node would be very attractive areas to put on trades. If we could get there, 6,800, approximately 200 points away. And in a corrective move, that's doable, but not worth worrying about for today. Okay, so now we switch to the daily as we're about to open, by the way, guys. So for the daily, what am I looking for? I expect response back up from 69.97 to 69.86. Why? Weekly value area high against daily value area high. If we get below, notice that slams us right into the point of control, right? Once we get into the point of control here, if you spread this out, right? Once we get into this point of control right here at 69.80, 69.82, the question is, can we get back above 86 to 97? My guess is that ends up providing and it's actually I'm a little off there. It's 99. My guess is that from in here, we end up with resistance, trap back in, and trap back in the prior high. See that right there, the daily high? We're trapped back into the daily high. So my guess is would be push in, resistance back up, back underneath, and then we can come down and check on value area low. There's not much in this profile to have to defend. Just the whole area is your neighborhood, right? And I'm concerned after I get underneath 69.80, you probably have a pretty free shot down towards 69.50, assuming we can't get back above 69.80. But this will become resistance if we trade into the point of control, right? Bulls really want to hold it above 69.99 this morning. Okay, market just opened, by the way. I don't think my data feed's working, so I'm going to have to reboot, which I'm going to do right now. It is. It's just my DUMs aren't working. Okay, guys, I have to restart TradeStation really quick. So let me do that, and then I'll continue with this process here. Those all desktops. Not all. Not all. Okay, let me try to reset it. Seriously? Oh, it's from the other screen. Got it. Okay. Let me start TradeStation. Yes. Okay, while that boots up, let's go into a little bit more detail here. Okay, so, and then finally, I understand that I am not short. Notice the value area low lines up at 69.52. Test into the low. I want you to note, see how there's no defining detail in this profile over here to the right? Okay, got it. Let's see if I can get my DUMs opened. I've got machines that are quoting now. File, new, desktop, open, 129. NQ trading down near Globex lows, minus 21.75. Okay, so you'll notice the value area highs. We haven't quite hit those yet, right? Again, I'm not in a rush this morning. I'll burn the first 30 minutes. It's Monday. There's probably plenty of time, would be my suspicion, right? Yeah, I think there's definitely more of a trading environment on tap. Give me 1 second. Let me get the tick started. And then let's get advancers obviously are going to be low. So tick is negative 1,000, right? So advancers are at 648. That's the stuff that trend day down actually starts with, believe it or not. It's still very early. Got to give it 2 or 3 more minutes, but 648. The advanced decline ratio is 0.32 out of the gate. You got to give it the first 5 minutes, but that's a pretty damn low open, right? So now the question is, you should see with that negative and open some type of open drive lower. So if we don't get that, guess what? It's a head fake. That's all there is to it. Okay, so we'll jump back over here in just a second. So what's really important over here when you look to the left, see how this is weekly value area high, value area low. But see how in this profile in between, see how it's totally undefined? See how you get defined location? Oh, wait, you can't see that. Sorry. See how you get defined locations like over here? That's a defined point of control. See how this is completely devoid, right? This area can get traded through relatively easily, which is why when you translate over to the zones, right, what you'll see in here is that there's a lack of zones in this area. There's just key location, but there's not actually zone. And the reason why is my concern is a trade through that area, right? And so that's why I didn't put a white zone in that area, because I was concerned about it. So what will I deal off of? I'm looking at the TPOs, value area high, and I'll use the price action. This is the only place I was really comfortable committing to putting a zone in that whole area, right outside of this 69.85 area. So that's why for my zone traders, we have a big fat area that's has nothing in it, because there's nothing there from this perspective. There's nothing there to help us. We're trading below value area high, by the way. So that's the first step in getting a move back to the downside. We haven't accomplished that yet in ES. And like I said, I would expect responsive buyers an attempt at some point. And believe me, if they drive it straight down, that's all right. So everyone's got to remember my goal is not to be perfect. It's just to trade the environment when they give it to me. If we're going to roll hard to the downside, all I want to do is avoid my stop, right? Because anyone who's been guessing or trying to call the high in this market has just been getting bone crushed repeatedly, right? Why do I want to subject myself to that environment? I don't, right? So a couple things I'm going to watch. First of all, does tick get it back above 0? We're at negative 949. Does the advanced decline start to diverge as we hit the lows, right? And then I'm watching to get above or below my last best seller. So we're starting off the day with the seller. I know I already got to get above this guy to push for the gap fill, right? So I'm going to have to get reset lower on NQ. And if this is the day they're going to shake it out, that's great. We need them to shake it out, guys, so we can get some of those 20, 30, 40-point pops on NQ. We need the downside rotation within the context of a bull market, and we need people to panic just like we did the other day, right? What are we looking for? I'll show you. We don't want this. What we want is this. We want this, right? We want them to panic out so we can catch the U-turns down here. This is the PA where we make all our money intraday. The straight up crap, it's hard to make money of it. It forces you to buy high and higher, right? So you're on edge about holding it. But let me tell you, you grab a hold of a long position in something like this and it pops for you, you can just sit back and let them do whatever they want to do. It's up to the sellers now to come back and see if they can double bottom. And even if they do double bottom, I'm ready to go again if I need be, right? When it goes straight up, I'm forced to buy the open and guess whether it's going to hold or not. So let them come in. Who cares, right? If everyone else can figure that right out at the open and they enjoy trading that kind of price action, more power to them, right? More power to them. That's good for them. I don't have to be that trader. And not only that, you did not have to do anything off the open last week to make a boatload of money. So my guess is we will have a shakedown at some point this week. Wednesday, important. Last day of the month. Last year, if you go through and I would go and look at the last day of the month for the entire year, you'll see that there were some very nasty shakedowns. Ron, correct me if I'm wrong, mostly in the afternoon, where we ended up with a trend day down and nasty closes on the last day of the month. We had one last day of the month last year. I think it was straight December 29th was the last day of the trading year was actually up last year, I think. Maybe it was down. Let's go look. Daniel's also pointing out it's the biggest week of earnings this week. But if you look on the last day of the month from last month, again, I'm not in a rush here, guys. So if someone wants to trade, just know I'm not even looking at this point. I'm going to let them do what they want. So now the advanced decline ratio is 668 to 2,072 decliners. 0.33 is still your ratio. So I don't trust this push up any further than I can throw it, right? And if you go back and look, the last day of the month was a nasty down day on December, and we just tend to get these nasty rip downs the last day of the month. They've been at a high percentage, so just be aware of it. I don't know if we have a Fed meeting on Wednesday as well, and I know there's some other stuff coming up on Wednesday. So just stay balanced in your trade above your last best seller or below your last best buyer. That is what we are hunting for, okay? No question about it, zero. Okay, guys. That is what we're looking for. I don't have anything else really that we've opened down, and they're trying to push up on ES. It's only down 5 points, and we're right at the top of the intraday high, 28.6950. So they're trying to push. I don't know if they'll be able to, but they're obviously not scared yet, right? So that's my 2 cents, and I will let's give them the first 30 minutes, see if we can get below our last best seller or our last best buyer and go to work. That's all we have to do. So far, they seem pretty content to buy it, which would make sense with such a negative open, right? So now we'll see if they bring it back in and take some profits to the downside, or if we continue with this run to the upside. Okay, talk to y'all. Guys on YouTube, thank you for joining me. Sorry for the technical issues this morning. We shall go from there.